It's your job.
Okay, good. Season 2, episode 6, I think.
There you go. Watch that one. So funny.
Is why Scott Bryant is part of Must Watch.
I know a lot about a little and a little about a lot.
That was extraordinary. And don't get you started about Japanese agriculture in the 19th century, because you'll go on for that even longer than you will about 30 Rock. All right, stay with us. Of course, Scott and Hayley will do, because Must Watch is here for your listening pleasure. And as always, we would like to hear from you about what you're watching. We've got a number of shows to review. We're going to be speaking to Kimberly Wyatt. She's also Jade Anuka is going to be here as well. Jade, of course, co-stars with Sheridan Smith in Cleaning Up, so we'll be talking about that particular programme. And it was interesting because Smith was trending when Cleaning Up came, for good and bad reasons, when Cleaning Up was shown on ITV. So, lots to talk about. Stay with us.
Live Premier League football than anyone else. This is BBC 5 Live.
3 o'clock on 5 Live with me, Nihal Arthanaika.
A main news this hour, government whip resigns over Theresa May's Brexit deal.
In sport, Andy Murray is weighing up whether to have a hip operation again after defeat today at the Australian Open.
Oh, I thought his career was over. That's what that montage said. Just say goodbye to him.
Maybe not.
Oh, is he wearing it up? Oh, I don't know. It's very clear, that montage, that it was over.
Let's have another montage.
Yeah, okay, let's have another montage. Anyway, if you missed our interview with Katie Taylor, you can listen back on BBC Sounds if you want more of those big interviews that I do here on this show. Headliners Podcast is the only place you need to.
This is BBC 5 Live.
3 o'clock, here's Lisa McCormick with the news.
The DUP, whose MPs prop up Theresa May and government, have dismissed a letter from EU officials offering assurances on a Brexit deal is meaningless. The Prime Minister is back in Parliament later, where she'll again try to rally support ahead of tomorrow's Commons vote. The Tory backbencher Edward Lee supports the deal.
I think that with the help of the Speaker, the Remainers have taken over Parliament, and the choice is now between Mrs May's deal and, from a Brexit point of view, a much worse deal. I think the Remainers are gearing up in Parliament to force us to remain permanently in a customs union and single market, or even worse, to have a second referendum.
The government whip has resigned. Gareth Johnson says he's stepping down because he can't back the Prime Minister's Brexit deal. Further news, detectives investigating historic allegations of child sex abuse in West Yorkshire have arrested 55 men. They've been detained in Dewsbury, Batley and Bradford over the last few months. It's part of an investigation into allegations between 2002 and 2009. The police match commander at Hillsborough, David Duckenfield, has gone on trial accused of the gross negligence manslaughter of 95 Liverpool fans. The former Sheffield Wednesday secretary, Graham Mackerel, is also charged with health and safety offences. Both men deny the charges. Our correspondent Judith Moritz has been at Preston Crown Court.
Both David Duckenfield and Graham Mackerel deny the charges against them. The two men sat with their lawyers as more than 100 potential jurors were brought into the courtroom. They were given an 18-point questionnaire to fill in. Questions include whether they support football clubs including Liverpool, Everton and Sheffield Wednesday, and whether they've ever served as police officers.
Wood-burning stoves, open fires and farms all face new restrictions as part of the government's plan to tackle air pollution. The Clean Air Strategy aims to reduce particulates across England by 2030, but campaigners say it doesn't go far enough. Aaron Keeley is from Friends of the Earth.
There's other strategies around dealing with air pollution, but the real problem is that at the moment towns and cities are struggling to deal with, legal levels of air pollution. Many of, I think it's 50 places in this country are failing those current World Health Organization targets. We need a bit more than an ambition to have a target. I think we actually need the target, and I think that's what's missing from the strategy.
Lloyds Bank's been criticised for introducing new overdraft charges ahead of a proposed crackdown. The Financial Conduct Authority wants to scrap fees and replace them with a single interest rate. The MP Rachel Reeves, who chairs the Commons Business Committee, says the change isn't in the spirit of the FCA's recommendations. And the roy's broken out over what should be done with coins that are thrown into the Trevi Fountain in Rome. 5 Live's Giuliano Cassidy has more.
£1.3 million is fished out of the water every year. Traditionally, it's given to a Catholic charity which helps the poor. But this year, the council's ruled that the mayor will take control of the money. It'll be used to pay for the maintenance of the city's crumbling infrastructure. The move has been criticised by a Catholic bishop's newspaper. It's called the authority the enemy of the poor.
Well, that's the news. John Bennett's got the sport.
Andy Murray says he'll do everything possible to play again despite losing in the first round of the Australian Open in a 4-hour 5-set match against Roberto Bautista Agut. Murray has admitted he has two options: take 4 months off and then prepare for a final appearance at Wimbledon, or have hip resurfacing operation, which would dramatically improve his quality of life, but would also run the risk of never being able to play professionally again. Nihal just wants him to make up his mind.
He's made up his mind, and then they play that montage with all these people saying, "Yeah, mate, lovely. Cheers, then. See ya. Bye." And he's like, "Oh, but I just said, oh."
Heart of stone, you.
No, what do you mean?
He's got a point. I've got a point.
Yeah, right. That montage was just awkward.
Yeah.
In the extreme.
No montage today for Kyle Edmund, Cameron Norrie, Heather Watson and Harriet Dart. They all went out, but two of the Brits in action did make it through to the second round. Katie Boulter beat Ekaterina Makarova in the Australian Open's first ever final set tiebreak. Dan Evans beat the fellow qualifier Tatsuma Ito in 3 sets. Nottingham Forest set club legend Martin O'Neill as manager to succeed Aitor Karanka and Ronnie O'Sullivan to round of the Masters.
On BBC
Michael identified a dangerous criminal. His name is Jean Valjean, a man of exceptional strength and brutality.
An epic 6-part adaptation of a classic novel.
And who are you, if I may make so bold?
Well, this is based on the novel.
Where there is love, there is hope.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
No, it's a different. No, it's the BBC's. It's the BBC's take
Starring
on
Dominic West, Lily Collins, and David Oyelowo. Watch the series so far on BBC iPlayer.
With just 15 hours to go to the transfer window snaps, we are still awaiting
All right, coming. There he is, Michael Taylor, super agent. What do I sign? You gotta come with me now. What?
Hi.
Wait, now.
Casting from the cupboard in your
Yes. In your hotel room.
I'm looking at a Windows desktop. It's very glamorous.
Come on, move it!
MySpace page.
Taking the back. All right, Michael. It's starting to freak me out. What is going on?
Jade, hello. How are
We've been had. The agent, the one I've been dealing with, he's a complete fraud. Move it!
Yeah, not just me.
You saying that Real never wanted me? Guy was one of those parasite middlemen, complete chancellors. You know, the kind that manufactures deals between players and clubs? No, Real didn't know anything about it. Michael! Come on! Do you want to tell me where we're going now? Trying to save your career.
Yeah, it was great fun.
What was it like when
Even more fun.
I hear that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we had a sort of...
You have to understand how damaging this has been to the club.
We had no reason to believe the offer wasn't genuine.
I sympathise, but we can't escape the fact Alex asked to leave.
I'm still 100% committed to this club.
Yeah, had a good laugh.
I'm afraid the manager begs to differ, Alex. We spoke earlier. He feels you should no longer be a part of the first team squad. Wants you training with the youth team from now on.
This boy carried the club on his back last season.
The manager's decision is final.
She's like a professional and is able to just then suddenly click.
Other offers on the table, and we've got 12 hours to play with.
So long as the teams making offers aren't in the Premier League or in a European competition, we'll be happy to speak to them. But we won't sell Alex to a rival.
And turn down a fortune?
This is now a seller's market, and we're under no pressure to do business unless it's right for us.
Now close to, so I was at home on a Saturday, and my mum said, "You've got to get out of the house." And this performing arts school started, like a Saturday school started, and so I started going there.
Yeah.
Because your mum was a retired maths teacher.
I'm sorry for calling at short notice, but I'll give you a call back, yeah?
Then,
right, okay.
Going into acting, interesting conversation.
We've got until midnight. Something will come up.
To be fair, fault is probably a bit unfair because everything's worked out really well.
Yeah, no, it has. It's been good. But
National Theatre, Royal Shakespeare. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't think they ever thought it was going to be my job either. I didn't think that, and so, but the more I did it, the more I fell in love with it, and I think they saw that my passion grew as well. The older I got. And so it became inevitable that I was going to pursue it anyway.
At what age were you?
You were the one who kept telling us everything was going to be okay. He said all the right things, dropped all the right names.
Because of you, my career is down the drain. Let alone any chance I had of being called up to the England squad.
I've made a mistake.
I think it does.
Maybe
I always
maybe I wanted it
I
too
didn't
much.
really belong in this world. I didn't really know much about theatre. Even at drama school,
Look
there were a
around
lot
you,
of
Alex.
students there who just seemed to have gone to theatre loads.
How
and
many
know loads
superstars
about
do you
it,
see on
just
my
seemed to
books,
know
eh?
all about Shakespeare and stuff.
Back in the day, the phone was ringing off the hook, top players wanting to be represented by me.
And
But
sort of the
now,
more I do it, the more I have
you
to
get
really
old,
have that
the big
imposter
deals, they
syndrome.
dry up.
What
You're
am I doing?
yesterday's man.
This is supposed to be just a bit of a
I think
laugh.
so. I have to go south with
And then I
Gareth.
think gradually over time you sort of
I
go,
lost
you know,
control.
this is-
I
this-
needed
should
to
be
get
here.
it back.
Theatre is
I need to master
extraordinarily
again.
daunting, especially if people have gone film and TV back.
Yeah.
Everything
But you
I've
started
done.
it, didn't
Yeah, definitely.
you? What is it about that? Being on that stage,
Didn't
seeing
matter
the whites in
enough
the
for
eyes
you?
of people.
Well, there you go. That's it.
You gambled my career
kind of
just to get back to the big time. It's not like that. What's it like then? You gotta believe me.
Addictive.
I just wanted the
Do you feel
best.
any anxiety or terror? You often hear
I'm
about
sorry.
actors who before they go on stage. I mean, literally terror.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've never had sort of stage fright or anything, and that's horrific. But you do have that fear, and I think when you then do the show, once the show starts, you kind of forget about that, and then you have an absolute high when it finishes. And I think anytime you kind of face a
Well
fear,
done.
coming out on the other side of
Alex,
it,
we
you
can
feel
talk about it. I can make
and
this
it's
right.
amazing, that feeling, and I think that's addictive, and I think that's why people still always come back to the theatre.
Look, for what it's
you know, even
worth,
film stars and TV stars,
It's been an honour representing you.
What's the role that you played that's had the most effect on you? Because I just wonder, with every new person you play, every new character that you involve yourself in, does a part of that character ever remain with you? Part of the way they see the world has an impact upon you?
Yeah, probably. And definitely just the process of then getting into that character, it does stay with you. I'm trying to think, well, the
Do you
first...
still box?
Sorry?
You still box?
I don't box, actually. I always said I'd keep it going, but, you know...
You said it to Nicola Adams.
I did.
And you don't want to lie to Nicola Adams.
Right there, though. She's right there.
Tell us why you got into boxing. I mean, I know, but tell us.
Yeah,
it's not really a good time.
Hotspur.
You're still looking for a new club?
It was an all-female production.
Yeah.
It's the Don Marware.
And a new
Don Marware
agent.
House. And we
Let
sort
Michael
of
go.
imagined Hotspur as
I can see how
a
you
boxer,
come.
and actually he was training to box to fight, and he had all this extra energy. You know, he's always.
Anyway, it's
seen
too late
Hotspur,
now.
Hotspur.
It's never
And
too
so
late,
He was
Alex.
sort of during the show.
Look, Dad, I'm kind of messed up right now. I'll call you back tomorrow.
Tomorrow's too late for what I've got to say. 5 minutes, that's all I ask. Got someone here who'd like a word.
Into the training, and I really enjoyed it, and we did the show.
How are you doing, Alex?
Javier
Gonzalez.
Back into training.
I'm sure you remember
I mean,
Sardes.
you're rocking the hoodie today. I mean, look, you look like you've come straight out of a
We hear
boxing
you're looking
gym.
for a new club. As it happens, we've had bad luck with some
What did
injuries.
you enjoy about the
We're
boxing?
looking to bring another striker on board to help us push for an MLS playoff place. Now, I don't know about you, son, but to me,
Really?
this sounds like one heck of an opportunity.
When I was talking to Nicola Adams about
If you're interested, we can make it happen. But we're going to need an answer now.
Alex,
this could be good for you. You could set MLS alight.
When you're on stage.
I don't know, Dad. It's just like with everything going on, it's all happening so fast.
It's a chance for a new beginning, son.
And then it comes down
So, Alex, what's it going to be?
Try it, 8 times.
Training with the kids?
Boxing,
Or coming to the LA Galaxy, reminding the world just how good you can be.
It's try not to log in without me putting what the password is.
Filming days. How do you feel?
Well, it's pissing me off.
It's massively different in terms of just how a day is set up.
How is a day set up? So you're filming cleaning up. So give us a kind of, if there is such a thing as a typical day of film.
It's sort of, you're up bright and early, going to...
Define bright and early.
I'm on the radio.
Some days I have to get up at like 11.
I don't like it. I can't log in. The only thing to do is reset that one as well.
That's getting in time.
Yeah.
I've never got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I don't think.
Yeah, that's the only option.
I know, I've got the wrong crowd.
Yeah, I know, right? So, okay, 5 a.m.
5 a.m. and you make up in costume, and then you go on to set, and then you sort of talk with the director for a couple of minutes if you're lucky about the scene that you're about to do, and you meet the other actors in that scene, and then it's all go, and everything's been set up for hours. They've all been. All the crew have been setting up the lights and everything, and then it goes on to you, and the pressure is intense because there's a lot of money gone into this, and also there's tens of people, maybe 50 people
in there who have all done their work and are now going, and now it's your turn. We've set up everything, and if you mess up your line, if you mess up something, we've got to then reset everything, and it's intense in a really different way. Yeah.
How many times did you do that?
Huh?
How many times did that happen?
What, had to go back?
Yeah.
Oh, like, it's such a one take.
Of course.
I don't know. You don't remember those stuff. Like, if it's a moment where you think, oh, really, it's your fault, and you know that you messed up, then I'm not going to remember that. You have to just move on, don't you? Because if you dwell on that, that's the rest of the day gone. So you just got to go, look, we're all human.
I just think it's a mindset of, like, acting as if there's no one else in the same room as you, but there's actually 50 other people in the same room as you.
Yeah, that is weird. You do that? You have to. If I'm doing a scene with Sheridan Smith, and I have to forget that there's, 40 guys holding different lights pointing at your face and, mics and all of that, people looking at screen, and so many people in the room, and you've just got to go, this is us having a really...
Yeah, it's doing the same crap.
And I guess also there's a point at which you do it's difficult to pull yourself out of it, because then the real pressure starts, right? Because you think, oh God, I've let these people down.
Totally.
I need to do it again, and that's where the real strength of character comes, I guess.
Yeah, and it's also preparation. You've got to just make sure when you turn up, you know your lines.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's only you that's gonna. You're gonna feel that.
Yeah.
You go in prepared.
And you may not get employed again.
Well, there's always that, isn't there?
If you don't, how much of a lead time do you have from you getting the lines to you being on set?
Oh, that changes a lot. And also, there were little bits. I knew that was. I mean, you get the actual scenes the night before. You kind of get the exact bits that you got to do.
The night before.
Yeah. I mean, you've had the whole script, but then you might have an idea of when you're going to do, what week you're going to do those scenes. But then the night before, you get a final. I say final, and then that morning they might go, actually, we're not going to do that scene. We're going to do that scene, or we're going to just change those lines. Like, you just got to be ready, haven't you?
Wow. Not like our jobs, eh, Scott?
No.
Imagine getting up at 5 a.m. My 2019...
out of all of that conversation, that was the one thing that Hayley focused in on.
Yeah, my 2019 resolution was that I said quite seriously, you know what, this year I think I'm going to get up in the morning. Like, that was it.
Actually,
that's it.
So by that you meant pre-midday?
I mean pre-midday.
I did read an article about the importance of sleep, so,
Wow.
Yeah.
That was your New Year's resolution?
Yeah.
Lots of hard-working people listening to 5 Live going, excuse me?
I know.
Your resolution was to get up before midday.
I'm so relatable.
I know, right? That's why you're here. You are every woman that we've been waiting for all this time. No doubt about it. Jade, you obviously have a great kind of on-screen chemistry with Sheridan. We learned earlier on about how, she basically stops you from giggling, make you laugh, and then stop you from giggling as soon as the camera starts. What else did you learn from her?
Well, you sort of learn by example, sort of stuff like that. I mean, I definitely came into this, I'd never done a part as big as this on TV, and she's got such a wealth of experience, and so I sort of came into this knowing that I need to learn from her. She's been doing it for ages, and she's been doing it very well. And so the best thing, I think, is to observe and listen. And I think mainly I was just watch how she works. I think that's it. You learn from example, I think.
There seems to be, please tell me if I'm wrong here, just so many roles now. Not just for women of colour, but just different roles, different backgrounds. Everyone's not making the same thing. Television is being challenged, of course, by the streaming services.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel that? Do you feel that that's an exciting time, or is it still the case of... And I interviewed Tim Roth last week, and Tim Roth still panics at the end of a job. There may not be another job coming. Tim Roth, right? So, when he said that to me, I was like, dude,
what?
When you go back to your LA house and look at everything in it, do you just think maybe I'm doing all right at the moment? He went, no. He goes, I'm terrified. As soon as the job finishes, I'm thinking, right, what am I going to do?
And if he's terrified, think what I feel.
You could be chill with it.
No. You can't be chill with it because you just.
He grew up at a different time. Like when he was made in Britain back in the 80s, there was like probably 4 channels then.
Yeah.
Now look how much choice there is. You yourself are seeing so many of your contemporaries going to America.
Yeah.
And smashing it.
Yeah. There's so many more people though trying to do it, I think, as well.
Right.
And which is great, and I do think it's definitely improving, like you say.
That's why I can't use this one anymore.
Lots of theatre.
I can't use this one anymore.
I do feel currently is in the lead in terms of it's moving quicker.
The only thing.
Representation than TV, but
you have an American agent.
I do.
When are you going out there?
Well, I've been out there with
pilot season.
Does that happen anymore? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I've been out there. I've been very lucky to take plays out there, and so I've been out there with work, and then while I'm there, I've been able to kind of meet with people, because I find it the idea of just going to going to LA for 6 months. I don't know how people pay for that. Just trying to audition. How do you do that? That's a luxury, I think, to be able to just go over there and just live.
I think you go out there most of the time, spend your time saying, would you like some coffee?
Yeah.
With that? Exactly. Would you like the sandwich? Would you like it on rye? Would you on the whole?
Yeah, totally. But I know how to do that here. I've done that here loads.
No, they go and do it. Actually, no, you need a work permit, won't you?
Yeah, this is it. It's quite complicated, actually. And but I don't know. I mean, I do love America, and I would love to work out there and film something out there. But it's I mean, it'd be great to just be able to go home at the end of the day, wouldn't it?
But do you know what? There must be such levels of resentment amongst African Americans about the amount of black British people going over there and taking their jobs.
Taking their jobs?
That's how they
think it's like
that's how some of them see it.
Some people, but that's always going to be the way. You can't please everyone all the time.
I know. They must have been. I mean, they must have been annoyed.
You've got to support your fellow actors.
When Martin Luther King was played by a British...
But wasn't he good, though?
He was amazing. But someone must have been annoyed at that.
But surely you prefer a British actor to do it very, very well than if somebody doesn't do it well. So, you have the best actor for the job. That's what you do.
Well, let's speak to someone who may have an American take on this, North American take on this. Kimberly Wyatt is with us now, of course.
Hello.
Hey, Kimberly.
Hi.
What do you think about all those Brits going over to America and taking American jobs?
Well, I'm kind of on the flip side, I guess, so I should be careful of what I say.
Yeah, exactly. These Americans coming over here and taking our jobs. This has been a long list of that. Kimberly, do you know Jade Anuka?
No, but I've heard the name so much, so it's been an absolute pleasure to see and hear her speak.
Yeah, Kimberly, Jade, meet Kimberly. It's all good. This is must watch. It's what we like to do, bring people together.
Love it.
In fact, the job that you have now given up in America, Jade, you can go and take that. There's a space there. In the American economy for you. Just make sure, if you can get past Homeland Security. In fact, it's easy to get past Homeland Security because there's no one working there at the moment.
Yeah, so it's super easy. I just came through in the airport and they basically just wave you through. This has never happened to me before in my life. I usually get questions.
No. The real test is if me, brown guy with a beard, if I walk through, then we know everyone has taken the day off. That's for certain. Jade, it's been great to see you. Thank you for coming in. Great. Super. We didn't even get to talk about Trini. I wanted to talk about Trini and Chutney Soko and all that kind of stuff. But will that be for another day? Big up the Trinidad Massive.
Thank you.
Okay, Kimberly, hello.
Hi.
I'm so great. It's so brilliant you're here because I bumped into you at CBBC, didn't I?
You did.
And said, what do you got going on? And she said, I've got something on CBBC.
Shortly after I had slime chucked at my head forcefully.
And how much slime?
It was unreal.
Can we just explain what happened to you?
So I was doing a CBBC show, and they did a little poll of who they would like, the viewers would like to see slimed, and I just had a feeling that it was going to be me, and I was right. So I sat on a stool, and they took buckets of slime and chucked it. And, I mean, it was forceful. I mean, the first one just about took me off the stool.
How hard is it to wash slime out?
Unbelievably hard. I just left my clothes because it was pointless. It wasn't coming out.
Were they ruined?
They were ruined.
Amazing.
Yeah. But my hair was really moisturized after. Nice and soft. And it was quite a surprise to get into the hallway, and the first person I saw was you in the hall.
Yes, absolutely. Just because I was there watching it because my kids were there that particular day. And I have to say, Scott and Hayley, the force at which this slime was projected, this was like Boris Johnson's water cannon.
What have you done to attract this ire?
Just be famous. That's it. I think it was just pure hating.
Were you warned before, by the producer being like, oh, you're here, da da da. By the way, you might get completely covered in slime. Is that all right?
They
Wear
did.
your rubbish clothes.
Yeah, they did. They said, are you up for it? And I said, up for it wouldn't really be the term, but I will do anything to promote this new show because I love it and I'm really proud of it. So, chuck away.
It's not the reason that we've got you on. It has to be said. We have got you on because of Almost Never. Tell us about Almost Never.
So Almost Never is a new show on CBBC starting tomorrow, the 15th, at 5 p.m. And it will all be on BBC iPlayer after that first show. And it's 13 episodes. It's a comedy drama. It's super funny, loads of comedy moments, and it explores how to make it in the music business. So it follows a group of young kids with big dreams that go on sort of an X Factor type show called The Spotlight with a cameo made from Tess Daly, and as the Wonderland, who I'm the mentor of, become the losers. As revenge, I decide to take on the winners, Girls Here First, and do anything I can to make a success of them. And I'm horrible. I am such a cold-hearted, ruthless, ice and fire type of manager. I get myself into some serious situations, but it was just so much fun to play such a baddie and really go for it.
I can really tell that you were getting so much enjoyment out of literally being really, really mean and ice cold to all of these people.
It was
And you get to wear good outfits as well as a baddie.
I did, I really felt like I was trying to find my inner Meryl Streep from Devil Wears Prada.
What an amazing reference for a
Right?
CBBC programme. Yeah, I'm going to go there on this one. I'm going to go totally there. It is a really, really good show. And as with a lot of stuff on CBBC, not that everything's a message, but it does encourage kids to think about lots of different things. What do you think Almost Never encourages kids to think about?
Well, so many kids watch these amazing talent shows and see the winners, they see the losers, but they don't really get an inside view to what it must be like to then make it either way. And what goes on with, the music industry is so different than it ever was before, and the platforms are so different with the online and making a name for yourself and getting as much content out there as possible whilst trying to make amazing music and be perfect musicians. So it just really gives you an insight into that, as well as showing the juggle of being a teenager and having school and having friends and family and trying to do it all and trying to make a success of it. So it was great to pull on a lot of my, probably most of my bad experiences from being in the music industry, but really being able to go there, pull from them, and create these moments, and definitely remind the kids after the scene that I'm not actually that horrible. But I have had those experiences, so thanks for living with me again.
Yeah, I don't think you could say all your experiences in the music industry. I don't think that would be a CBBC programme, would it? I think that would be very different.
Just a few insights here and there.
Yeah, it is. Channeling Meryl Streep, that's fantastic. It is an enjoyable job. It's really interesting, the variety that you get in your career, Kimberly.
Yeah, it's been crazy. My focus from an early age has always been dance, and dance has led me to so many amazing opportunities, and even being a judge on Got to Dance and taking the next step, creating a platform for dancers, giving back to the next generation. But I can't really be a dancer forever. I was happy to make it past 27, because 27 is kind of often a retirement age for a female dancer. So I could never give up dancing, but I still have that love of wanting to perform and tell stories. So I've been working really hard for a good 10 plus years on acting and finding my voice and being able to convey not just through movement but through words and creating scenes and becoming something that I'm not, and exploring what that is and what it means to me. So this was the first one to book that felt like, funnily enough, it's the first phone call I've had since I was a kid that actually, when I was told that I got the job, I screamed and ran around the house. I was so excited.
Wow. Seriously?
Yeah.
Even more so than Pussycat Dolls?
Well, Pussycat Dolls was like when I got a Pussycat Dolls gig, I was just at another audition, and afterwards they asked me if I would do it. And at the time, it was free gigs and just another job to do and maybe some more exposure. I had no idea that a year and a half later we would be signed as a music group and have the fame that we did. So it's still kind of mind-boggling. It was never my dream to be like, a pop star. It was always just to do my best work, and somehow it did lead me to the Pussycat Dolls, and I did get to tour the world as one of the biggest female groups, so it was unbelievable.
With this program, Almost Never, what do you think it says about fame? Because a lot of people, older people, decry what defines celebrity now, and that people are celebrities who are not really doing much. And kids want to be famous, but yet can't identify why they want to be famous or how they're going to be famous.
I think this is so important. Celebrity has become such a watered down word that means so many different things. I've lost track. And I think that this show starts to help kids and people realize that there's a difference between just celebrity and a difference between celebrity and talent. And I'm hoping that it shows that if you do have a talent and you stay true to it and you keep focusing on it, amazing things can happen. As well as trying not to get lost in the celebrity. You know, it comes with the job as long as you stay focused. Celebrity is a part of it, but ultimately you got to stay true to the talent. And I think I've been through that journey myself. You know, gosh, I could get paid a lot more being a celebrity, but my talent means so much to me, and I've made so many sacrifices to stay true to that, and I still do. So I think any platform I have, I try to get that message across. Because, you know, I was in a band singing, when I grow up I want to be famous, I want to be a star, I want to be in movies, which was all very true. But it wasn't just because I wanted everybody to know my name and take pictures of me. It was because, you know, I had...
You wanted to be slimed.
Because I wanted to be slimed violently.
Yeah.
That's it. That's right.
And you achieved that just a few weeks ago.
I did. I'm living the dream.
If you get a chance, go into the iPlayer and check it. It's a brilliant show Yasmin Evans does on a Saturday morning on CBBC, and yeah, it's violent, slimy. I think it's probably the only way I could describe it. It's quite extraordinary. And you know, if you're listening now, 3:30 at school pickup time, and your kids have not heard of Almost Never yet, go to CBBC. It starts on January the 15th. It's called Almost Never. Go and check it out. Kimberly, great to speak to you today.
Soccer is my favorite sport to watch, man, and I'm all for Galaxy. You know, LA I represent. For them to go out and get a young player like Alex Hunter, it sends a message to MLS. We ain't done this season. I mean, the kid is elite.
A chat earlier on, so I just went over the end of that sentence as if I was tripping over a paving slab.
That's absolutely fine. We'll edit that to the podcast.
Brilliant.
Okay, it is now 29 minutes to 4, so let's get some news headlines for Liz McCormick.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Theresa May's welcomed assurances from the EU over the impact of a Brexit deal on Northern Ireland. In a letter, the European Union says the backstop would only be used temporarily, if at all. But the DUP, which supports the Conservative in government, says the letter is meaningless. 55 men have been arrested over the last 2 months as part of an investigation into historic claims of child sex abuse. West Yorkshire Police say it's part of an investigation into claims made by 7 women. Wood-burning stoves can be banned under the government's new Clean Air strategy for England. The proposals also include restrictions on fertilisers for farmers. And a study claims 2.7 million new jobs have been created in the past decade, but the Resolution Foundation says it's partly down to a rise in agency work and zero-hours contracts. Sport now, here's John Bennett.
Andy Murray says he'll decide in the next week or so whether to have a second operation on his hip. He lost to Roberto Bautista Agut in 5 sets at the Australian Open today, in what might have been his final ever match. From Melbourne, our correspondent Russell Fuller.
In Murray's 15 years as a professional, he's written some improbable scripts, and tonight, in front of a delirious crowd, he nearly overturned a 2-set deficit. Murray won sets 3 and 4 on a tiebreak. In a microcosm of his career, he screamed in celebration and in frustration. He covered acres of ground with some sparkling defence, and he remonstrated with his nearest and dearest when the opportunity arose. Murray did run out of steam in the decider and now has a decision to make. Does he wrap himself in cotton wool to allow a farewell at Wimbledon? Or does he have further surgery which will improve his quality of life but could prevent a centre court encore?
Well, while Murray ponders his future at the age of 31, 37-year-old Roger Federer shows no signs of slowing down. He's going for a 3rd Australian Open title in a row and eased past Dennis Istomin in under 2 hours to reach the 2nd round.
It's disbelief, to be quite honest, that I'm a double defending champion here at the Australian Open at this age. yeah, I guess it's this fairy tale comeback that I'm still on. I played really great again last year. I hope I can do it again this year. I have to go in with a mindset that it's maybe possible, but it's probably going to be somebody else.
Federer will now play Dan Evans, one of two British players, along with Katie Bolter, to make it to round 2. But Kyle Edmund, Cameron Norrie, Heather Watson and Harriet Dart are all out. Martin O'Neill is set to become the new manager of Nottingham Forest. The 66-year-old won the European Cup as a Forest player. Forest are 9th in the Championship, 4 points outside the playoff places. Tottenham midfielder Moussa Dembele has flown out to the Far East to complete his £11 million move to the Chinese Super League club Beijing Guoan. Spurs are trying to trim the squad that Maurizio Pochettino has at the moment, and Dembele is out of contract in the summer. Ronnie O'Sullivan's closing in on a place in the quarter-finals of the Masters snooker. Jamie Broughton is watching the 7-time champion take on Stuart Bingham at London's Alexandra Palace.
Well, after Stuart Bingham took the opening frame this afternoon, Ronnie O'Sullivan knocked in breaks of 59, 96 and 134 to go 3-1 up at the mid-session interval. After the break, he then knocked in another century to lead 4-1. That was the 988th century of his career as he looks to reach the landmark of 1,000. In frame 6, there were chances for both players early on. Bingham then broke down on 32 when he missed a red with the rest, and O'Sullivan punished him with a 60 break to go 5-1 up. 6 is required for a place in the quarter-finals against Ryan Day.
And it's live now on BBC Two and the BBC Sport website. Tonight on the red button, England World Cup winning centre Emily Scarrett is a doubt for the start of the Six Nations with a hamstring injury. And world record holder Eliud Kipchoge will return to defend his title against Britain's Mo Farah at this year's London Marathon taking place in April. That's the latest from BBC Sport.
Get exclusive music mixes on BBC Sounds.
This is Ramesh Ranganathan.
Ramesh Ranganathan picks his favourite songs in the Takeover mix. And hear the gripping story of Reuben Carter. The Hurricane Tapes.
Sometimes I feel like talking.
A boxer wrongly convicted of a triple murder.
For 5 decades, nobody has finished this story. Who could resist that?
I have something that I want to say to you.
Download the free BBC Sounds app for music, radio and podcasts to listen without limits.
Must watch. Scott Bryan, Hayley Campbell, we're all here. We're here to talk about TV. Cleaning up is one such thing. It's been on TV already. Scott, tell us about it.
So essentially I mean, the whole premise is a bit bizarre, but that's kind of the appeal. It's essentially about a woman who's a cleaner called Sam, played by Sheridan Smith, who essentially is in a lot of debt, but works as a cleaner in a financial firm. Overhears someone who is partaking in the illegal activity of insider trading, so that's sort of basically taking a punt on sort of stuff that shouldn't be actually public knowledge and then making bets with it. And then overhears it and tries to get involved herself to reclaim the financial benefit.
Does it work, Hayley?
Well, no, I didn't really. You know, there's a lot in the show about how easy it is to keep losing cash when you're in debt and the spiral you get into and the sheer desperation of these characters. But I didn't really fancy it. There was a lot in it that I thought was kind of weird. Like, a lot of the plot hinges on the fact that nobody locks their computer screens at night. Like, so she's just she can see information that she shouldn't see. And I don't know, it's a bit odd. It felt a bit nothingy to me. But Sheridan Smith is very good. You know, she plays her very sympathetically, but doesn't do it in a way that says you should always be on her side, because she is doing stuff that is illegal, and you know, it's kind of dubious. So you know, she's a very good actor.
Is it a must-watch?
No.
Scott?
I'd say that the whole premise is really interesting. I think I used to work a lot of overnight shift in one of my old jobs, and you see this sort of army of cleaning people next to sort of the people who work in the office during the daytime, and they would be working within the same environment for equally as long, but they would never chat to each other or half recognise that the cleaning staff were even there. And this is very much the existence, this sort of invisible but huge workforce that exists throughout our society. I find that very, very interesting.
Okay.
But
it's so mad to see this job where nobody's got any money, but they're working in a place where all this money is flying around constantly.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Yes or no, Scott?
No. I found the plot a bit...
For me, to see now a young player coming from Europe, usually you get the opposite, a young, talented American going to Europe.
I'm just happy it's my off season, and I get the joy and watch him go out there and do his thing.
You have guys in the league that are very important for this league. Jovinko, Dos Santos, Zardes. But now you have Alex Hunter coming in.
Being famous is like being freaking. With more money and glamour and international travel.
Sounds great.
But you don't want that.
Don't we?
6 months and you'll forgotten this ever happened. Enjoy your lives, the Wonderland.
So that is almost never. It's really interesting, I think, the whole premise about it. Essentially, it's just down to this whole idea that you have to, essentially work really quite hard. It starts being based around this sort of competition between two different bands of all sorts of school age. And then one team sort of loses and you follow this team throughout.
You're
and
Alex Hunter.
The thing that I quite like about it is that the idea that you have to really put the effort in to the work.
Look,
that
kid, you need to get out of here. You're not supposed to be here.
Neither are you.
You've just been on
Here we
TV
both
and
are.
you've just been in a competition, rather than just sort of following a
See what's
celebrity.
happening, Alex.
That's sort of the thing I quite like about this show, because I think shows before
Just blagging it down. Come on, get out of here.
Shows along this theme that were on CBBC about 10, 15 years ago just used to give this interpretation that, oh, celebrity culture is always really cool, and that's just, the thing that is the attainable thing, and isn't it amazing to be a celebrity? This is very much like along the idea of you can be a celebrity, but it's actually really hard work and you have to really give a lot of effort.
Yeah, I like the fact that they weren't focusing just on the fame, and there was a lot of looking at how these kids are writing the songs and actually trying to do the thing they want to do, rather than aiming at the fame itself.
How is it going?
What I wonder is, this is me watching it as a kid show.
What are you doing here?
Sort of think, well, to the kids who are watching it, do they
I'm
think
here
it's
working.
relevant for them? Do they find it fresh? Do they
Needed to check this out.
Because there were some things in this that I found particularly
Listen,
quite funny.
the studio is hosting a party tonight. You should come. Meet some people in town, help you settle in.
Yeah, wicked.
Which means kind of famous for now.
Yeah.
And then we sort of drop in that.
MLS.
I had to think to myself,
Enjoyed my time with the Red Bulls.
thing that people use.
Yeah.
Different game though.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a show for kids, but I
Have
didn't
fun.
think there was anything like on levels above that.
I will.
Like The Simpsons works on
See you tonight.
several levels above. It's just, kids can watch it, but they're anything that they're not going to understand just goes over their head.
That's
I didn't
impressive.
think there was anything sort of hidden for parents
Listen,
watching as well.
Alex.
It felt very much aimed at kids and just for
I
kids.
just wanted to say that
I think it's nice when it is actually.
well, I'm glad you're here
for
stepping in for me.
References that are 20 years older than them.
Yeah.
No, I realised it was better to find these kids. In 90,
Run, son.
he ends up
Give him
flying
works.
and because then his dad's his age.
Scenarios in front of kids to make
But
them
then
feel
I
as though
don't know
actually
what's going to
feel
happen.
as though just to go certain things that perhaps we look at on TV programs. I know that when you put in both of what you do, you don't watch on CBBC, and if you haven't seen horrible history, you're missing out, no matter what age you are.
So you do watch TV?